Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're strapping into the future of electric vehicles. We're tackling the big one, the highly anticipated 2026 Tesla Model Y. And this isn't just, a minor tweak. We're digging into that big internal refresh they're calling Juniper. It seems aimed squarely at silencing some of the Model Y's critics, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. That's what makes this model potentially quite significant.
So our mission today, let's cut through the hype. We want to figure out, for you listening, if this mix of, advanced tech, sleek design, and better range actually makes it the best choice in what's become a really crowded electric SUV market. We'll look at the specs, sure, but maybe more importantly, we need to dissect what the critics are saying.
Exactly. And what's fascinating, I think, is that this 2026 Model Y shows Tesla kind of acknowledging they needed to refine things. The original, it sold incredibly well, right? Based purely on performance, range, efficiency. But it always got dinged on comfort and the perceived build quality. It felt a bit raw, maybe a little tiny sometimes. This Juniper upgrade, it seems like their direct answer. Trying to push the Model Y from just being fast and long-legged to being, a genuinely premium-feeling product, something that can really stand up to the high-end competition.
Okay, so let's start right there with that push for refinement. If comfort was a key target, what did they actually change? Visually, ergonomically?
Well, visually, it still looks very much like a Model Y. That core identity is there. But the interior overhaul, that's where the big story is. The aesthetic is still, aggressively minimalist. Don't expect lots of buttons or traditional dials. Everything, and I mean everything, revolves around that huge 15-inch central touchscreen. High definition, yes. But it's your command center for navigation, climate, media, and even a lot of the main driving controls.
Right, and that total reliance on the screen, that's a huge point of contention, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll definitely need to dig into that when we get to the critical feedback. But first, those specific comfort issues you mentioned, the road noise, the materials, did Juniper actually fix those?
They certainly seem to have tried. Tesla apparently paid a lot more attention to noise isolation this time. Reports mention significantly improved acoustic insulation, like reinforcing structural pillars, adding better sound dampening materials. The goal is a much quieter ride, especially, cruising on the highway. Material-wise, they're sticking with the sustainable leatherette, which is fine, but they finally added a key luxury touch, available cooled front seats. That's a big deal, especially if you live somewhere warm. Really elevates the daily comfort level.
Okay, so cooled seats, quieter cabin, that sounds more premium. But let's not forget the U in SUV, utility. Did they sacrifice that crucial cargo space while tweaking the inside?
No, actually, capacity remains one of the Model Y's sort of hidden strength that's baked into its crossover design. Standard capacity with the rear seats up is a really healthy 30.2 cubic feet. That's about 856 liters. Plenty for, a family trip, big grocery hauls, that kind of thing.
And if you need more, like IKEA trip level.
That's where it really shines. You fold those rear seats flat, and the space just explodes. Up to 76.2 cubic feet. That's roughly 2,150 liters. Huge. And don't forget the front trunk. It adds another 4.1 cubic feet, or 116 liters, of secure space. Perfect for charging cables, groceries, quick rev items.
All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk pure EV metrics,
Right.
Power, acceleration, range. What are the key numbers for this 2026 Model Y?
The power outputs are definitely impressive. The base rear-wheel drive model, the single-motor one, is estimated around 295 horsepower, which is frankly plenty for most people. But then you get the all-wheel drive, the dual-motor versions. That jumps quite a bit, estimated around 370 horsepower.
And the acceleration? Still ludicrously quick, I assume.
Oh, completely absurd, yeah. Tests of the long-range AWD version clocked 0 to 60 mile per hour. That's 0 to 96 kilometers per hour in like 3.8 to 3.9 seconds.
Wow. For a family SUV.
Exactly. You have to remember, this practical family hauler can genuinely smoke some serious sports cars off the line. It's a massive amount of performance.
But is that kind of speed really necessary? Or even desirable, maybe, in a car, mostly for utility? Does focusing so much on acceleration maybe compromise the ride comfort?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's the core trade-off we need to talk about next. Tesla always seems to prioritize that neck-snapping acceleration. But even with that focus, they have managed to keep the range figures really strong. Class-leading, in fact. The RWD model, they estimate, can do up to 357 miles under ideal conditions. That's about 575 kilometers. And the more powerful AWD isn't far behind, estimated at 327 miles, or roughly 526 kilometers. These are solid numbers. Really helps with that whole range anxiety thing.
Yeah, good range is one thing, but charging speed. That's what makes or breaks road trips, right? Long range doesn't help if you're stuck charging for an hour.
And this is where Tesla's ecosystem, the supercharger network, plus the car's capability really makes a difference. The car supports charging up to 250 kilowatts. That's pretty fast. What it means in practice is you can add about 169 miles of range in just 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah, and a typical charge, say from 10% up to 80%, takes only about 27 minutes. That makes long-distance travel, well, genuinely viable compared to some EVs with slower charging speeds.
Okay, those performance numbers, the range, the charging.
Yeah.
It all sounds pretty stunning on paper, but we need to be real. This is a deep dive, so we need to look at the downsides too. What did the reviews and sources flag as the main trade-offs, the persistent weaknesses, even after this Juniper update?
Right, this is super important, because while the overall reaction seems positive, some key criticisms definitely remain. Edmunds, for instance. They gave it a solid 8.1 out of 10 overall. But they specifically mentioned that the driving enjoyment, the actual handling dynamics, weren't necessarily better than all its competitors, suggesting that sheer speed doesn't automatically equal perfect road manners.
And what about other reviewers, like Car and Driver? What specific pain points did they highlight?
They really honed in on two main issues that keep coming up. First, that heavy, almost total reliance on the central touchscreen for nearly everything. And second, the ride quality. Still potentially quite harsh. Let's unpack that ride issue first, because it's probably the biggest physical complaint people have. The suspension. It's consistently described as being relatively stiff, maybe even hard. Despite whatever tweaks they made for Juniper, the car's low center of gravity and that performance focus mean the suspension is tuned pretty aggressively. On smooth roads, maybe in, say, Germany, probably fine, but hit some uneven pavement, poorly maintained city streets. The comfort level apparently drops off quite a bit compared to rivals. I think the VW ID.4, the Lexus RZ, it feels sporty, yes, but maybe not conventionally luxurious in its ride.
Okay, and let's circle back to that screen dependency. You said it's not just about preference. Reviewers see it as a potential issue, like ergonomically.
Precisely. It's not just about liking or disliking minimalism. Reviewers point out that moving core functions, things like gear selection, turn signals, even basic wiper controls, entirely onto that screen, forces the driver to look away from the road and perform multiple taps for actions that should be instant muscle memory physical controls. For many drivers, that constant screen interaction isn't just annoying, it's seen as potentially distracting, a real ergonomic flaw.
Now, there's a very specific regional issue we need to address, one that could be critical for some of our listeners. What did the sources mention about service, maintenance, parts, especially outside North America and Europe?
Yeah, this is potentially the Achilles heel for such advanced tech in some places. While the Model Y sells globally, the sources highlighted significant ongoing problems in certain markets, specifically mentioning Egypt and Jordan with getting spare parts and accessing scheduled maintenance. If you buy this cutting-edge vehicle that relies heavily on Tesla's specific systems and parts, that lack of robust service infrastructure becomes a huge operational risk.
So you could have this amazing car.
That's temporarily unusable because of logistical issues getting it fixed. It's a major factor to consider depending on where you live and drive.
That's really crucial context. So you might be trading some of that tech advantage for potential headaches down the road in certain regions. Okay, let's switch to safety. Given all this integrated tech, how does the 2026 Model Y actually perform when it comes to protecting occupants?
Oh, on safety. It's unequivocally excellent.
Yeah.
This has always been a Tesla strong suit, partly due to that rigid structure created by the underfloor battery pack. The Model Y consistently scores top marks. It got a full 5-star rating from NHTSA in the US across all the main crash tests. And it also earned the IHS Top Safety Pick Plus Award, which is their highest honor and requires acing both crash tests and having advanced active safety systems. And one really remarkable stat, especially for an SUV, is its stability. NHTSA calculated an incredibly low 7.9% rollover risk.
Wow, 7.9%. That's very low for a taller vehicle.
Exactly. That heavy battery pack gives it such a low center of gravity, it significantly reduces the rollover risk compared to many traditional SUVs.
And beyond just surviving a crash, what about the systems designed to prevent one in the first place? The active safety tech.
It comes standard with the essentials. You get automatic emergency braking, AEB, which can automatically brake if it detects an imminent collision. Also frank collision warnings, and of course, Tesla's suite of enhanced semi-autonomous driving features known collectively as autopilot.
Okay, so great safety scores. Bringing it all together then, where does this 2026 Model Y fit in the current market? Who are its main rivals now? The field is getting crowded.
It really is crowded now, and the competition is hitting the Model Y from multiple angles. Key rivals mentioned for 2026 include things like the Ford Mustang Mach-E, which also offers strong performance. Then there's the Volkswagen ID.4, often seen as more comfort-focused and maybe a better value proposition for some. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 with its unique design and fast charging, the more premium Lexus RZ. And crucially, you've got serious budget-friendly contenders entering the scene, like the MGZ SEV and offerings from BYD like the Seagull. They're challenging Tesla hard on price and efficiency, especially in certain markets.
Right, price is key. Let's give our listeners that final piece of the puzzle. What's the approximate cost we're looking at?
Okay, the base Model Y starts around $46,630 USD. That puts it firmly in the premium EV space, but maybe not full-on luxury compared to some German brands.
Yep.
For context, in other regions, that's roughly 194,000 Saudi riyals, or around 190,000 UAE dirhams. And factoring in those potential import costs and market specifics in Egypt, you might be looking at something closer to 3.5 million Egyptian pounds for a new one.
So still competitive with established players like the Mach-E or ID.4, but definitely not the budget option anymore, especially with those newer Chinese EVs arriving.
Exactly. So to kind of wrap it all up, the 2026 Model Y, with the Juniper update, it looks like it successfully tackles some of those interior quality complaints. It keeps the headline-grabbing acceleration and that class-leading range. It's still a performance powerhouse, no doubt. But, and this is a big but for potential buyers, you have to be willing to fully embrace that minimalist, screen-dominated interface. You have to accept the firmer ride quality as part of the performance package. And depending on where you are, you absolutely have to factor in the potential risks around maintenance and parts availability.
So what does this really mean for your decision long term? The car hits impressive numbers today, sure, but so much of its identity, its feature set, is tied to ongoing software development. So here's maybe a final thought for you to chew on. Given how much this car relies on continuous over-the-air OTA software updates that can literally change how the car drives, add features overnight is the real value here in the physical car you buy today? Or is it more in the promise of future innovation, a promise that hinges completely on having reliable internet connectivity and stable service infrastructure wherever you happen to be driving? That's something definitely worth thinking about long after you've unplugged from the charger.